Horseradish is a perennial vegetable that's easy to grow. It has huge health benefits. I'll show you how to harvest it, prepare it, and why you should grow it. Horseradish prefers to grow in well-drained, loose soil in a sunny location. In some areas it can become aggressive and weedy, but we don't have that problem here because of our extreme hot summers. Plus, I harvest it heavily during the winter months to keep it under control. Many nurseries will carry horseradish root by cuttings or even a plant in the springtime, and that's the best time to get it in the ground. But horseradish can be planted just about any time of the year. It's best harvested after it's had a chance to get a nice big root system. A full year or even 2 will help it really bulk up in size. Horseradish leaves are like a bonus ingredient. You can use the leaves in just about anything that calls for the horseradish root as a replacement when you don't have it during the summer months. Plus, you can add it to fermented foods, but the root is really the most potent and the most flavorful. We've had a couple of hard freezes. We've gotten down to 23 degrees a couple of nights, and as you can see, that has knocked down the horseradish leaves. So this is the best time to harvest the horseradish root because all of the potency and energy has traveled down into that root system, and this is when it's going to have the best flavor. If you were to harvest horseradish root during its growing season, then its flavor will be mild, almost washed out like, and its nutritional value isn't near as good. It's still usable, but it's certainly worth the wait until we have a good hard freeze. This powerful pungent root contains 10 times the amount of cancer-fighting glucosinolates as broccoli. It's used for the circulatory and immune system. It's an antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. Now, if that's not a reason to grow horseradish, I don't know what is. A spade is the best choice to dig your horseradish root. You want to find your crown and then go several inches away from that horseradish root and push your spade straight down. Don't go on an angle, and go in a couple of places around that root. And then push down as hard as you can and then lift that root right up out of the ground. Horseradish's main root will grow straight down, and then it sends all of these little side shoots off that travel through the soil, and they can travel 3 to 4 feet. Now the top root, or the rhizome, will grow about 18 inches deep. When I harvest it, I always have a tendency to break that last part of that root off and it stays in the ground. That's okay, because then that just produces more root for the next year. Now that I've got my horseradish all dug, you can see here that I've kind of severed the ends. And these are just small little roots that I don't really need anyways. They're small and they're not near as flavorful. So I want to remove all of these leaves and then toss them into the compost pile, spray it off out here to keep most of the dirt out here. And then once I go inside, I'm going to go ahead and scrub it with a vegetable peeler just to get out all of the dirt in the nooks and crannies. And then I'm going to go ahead and peel it because we're going to prepare it right away. Now, if we weren't going to prepare it right away, we wouldn't want to peel it. Definitely clean it, but not peel it, and just store it in the vegetable crisper so that it stores a lot longer. Now it's time to go prepare some horseradish. Back in the 80s, a family friend's mother, who was 98 and she was also German, showed me how to make horseradish and how she prepared it, how her mother prepared it, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. She was really strict, and she sat on a stool as she instructed me and made sure that I had all of my ingredients ready before we started. So you're going to need your prepared horseradish that's been cleaned and peeled. You'll need a blender, a jar with a lid. You'll need some white distilled vinegar and a pinch of sugar. You could use the apple cider vinegar in replacement for the white distilled, but I'm going to go ahead and use the white distilled to stay true to the tradition that was taught to me. Now, white vinegar was originated in the 1860s, and it was known as a spirit vinegar, and it most likely came from Germany. Now we're going to chop these into 1/2-inch pieces because when we put them in the blender, we need them in smaller pieces so that they break up a little bit easier. Now the German lady would say that she used to use a hand grater to break these up into small pieces, and she sure was happy when the invention of the blender came out. When we chop or grate horseradish root, it releases volatile oils, which gives us that famous nose-clearing spiciness, which we're definitely going to get when we blend this up. So some airflow, an open window might be a really good idea. Now that I've got all of the horseradish root all chopped up and put in the blender, it's time to add our vinegar to it. So we're only going to go halfway up the horseradish root with our vinegar, and then we're going to try to blend it. Sometimes it's dry and you may have to add a little bit more. And when you do that, push down the sides, add just a little bit at a time. And one of the things when I was being taught this is the German lady really tried to slap my hands because I wasn't quick enough of getting that lid on. She would kind of yell at me and say, "Get the lid on." So make sure that you get that lid on to keep those volatile oils in there. Anytime you open it up, to add more vinegar and push down those sides. So do that quickly. This takes a little bit of time stirring and mixing it a little bit, but it sure does beat grating. Okay, we've got some fluid in here, and so that might be enough, so I'm going to just go ahead and keep trying. And don't forget to keep the lid on. Woo! Almost there. I'm going to add a little bit more vinegar to this because it's just not quite there. Ooh! Making my eyes water. Oh, it's getting there. Now we're starting to get it to where it's starting to mix and churn a little bit. And that's when we want to stop adding the vinegar to it. We don't want to do much more than that, or otherwise it'll be too wet. All right, that's the consistency that we want. Now that we've blended our root to the consistency that we want, we're going to transfer it into a clean jar and get that lid on as quickly as we can so that we don't get our hands slapped. Just when I thought we were just about done, she said she had one more little thing that she does, and it's kind of like her secret ingredient, and I honestly don't know what its purpose is, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to stay true to the tradition that she taught me. And it was to take that lid off one last time, put a pinch of sugar in the top, use the back of that spoon to push it down, and then put the lid back on. This was traditionally used with meats, and you can actually tone it down with some sour cream. It's really good mixed with some mayo spread on for sandwiches. It's also good mixed with mustards for dips, and oddly, it's really good mixed with some orange marmalade to dip coconut shrimp in. Till next time, we'll see ya. Hey, do you want to come sniff this to see if I've got the consistency right? Oh, my nose! Oh. Famous nose clearing spiciness.